there and go,
yeah, well, not only that, how about the fact that this guy was running this for decades? He was doing this for decades to who knows how many people, and everybody was scared to talk about it because he'd have them killed. Yeah, it's really wild. So many powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy party?
It keeps popping up in the Diddy conversation for one reason. People say he voiced the part. The claim hangs in the air like a whispered name at a closed-door meeting, and nobody wants to be the one to say it out loud when the stakes feel real. It's not about loyalty, friendship, or the industry linking arms. It's about fear when legal heat shows up. The loudest rooms don't roar, they dim fast, and when powerful folks all go quiet at once, that silence starts to look planned, not random. Here's the uncomfortable part everyone circles back to. Silence isn't always support. Sometimes it's straight up self-preservation. If too many major names have moved in the same spaces, same parties, same private vibes, same rooms where everybody knows everybody, then talking gets risky real quick. Speaking up doesn't just put Diddy on the line, it puts the speaker on the line too. And Joe isn't the only one who's framed it like that. 50 Cent has been hinting at this dynamic for a long time, moving like he's one of the few ready to speak while others suddenly don't know or can't comment. When the hush spreads across big platforms, it starts to feel louder than any statement, like the quiet itself is the message. And if you've been clocking the low-key hum out of Hollywood lately, none of this shocks you.
Reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to...
For months, it's been steady background chatter. Not front page blasts, more like constant static you can't mute. And the same rumor keeps looping back in new shapes. People talk off the record, act careful in public, and play it safe with that no comment energy because nobody wants to catch a stray from a story that's still developing. It's all framed as talk, speculation, and headlines that aren't headlines, but the pattern of silence keeps getting noticed. There's talk about unreleased footage floating around. Not just random clips from wild parties, but something way heavier. Whispers say these recordings are tied to after-hour scenes full of bad choices and blurred morals, the kind of stuff that could blow up careers, big ones, household names, and all that talk. It traces back to one place, Diddy's world. But these weren't just nights of champagne and music, at least not how the internet's framing it.
Him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present that tape.
What's being whispered sounds way darker. Spaces where boundaries vanished, where people let loose a little too far, and where cameras were allegedly still rolling when everyone thought they were off. That's the part that makes this rumor feel dangerous, almost like a trap waiting to spring. The wildest claim? That some people caught up in it didn't even know anything was being filmed. That's why this whole thing keeps shifting from just being about scandal to something deeper. Control.
Bieber must speak about this, you guys. He's apparently unfollowed all of his closest Hollywood managers, even the bodyguard, in a sign that some people are saying is more evidence of the Diddy fall.
Because if those recordings really exist, even if they never go public, just the rumor itself creates pressure. It sparks fear, it builds leverage, and in an industry built on image, leverage is everything. That's why Joe Rogan's angle hits people differently. It flips the story. Maybe the silence isn't about protecting Diddy, it's about protecting themselves. Nobody wants to speak too boldly if there's even a chance something could come back to haunt them.
Bieber does manage to make it clear that you were not aware of Epstein activities. Did you know who he was?
Yes, I knew him. I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like...
And when you line that up with what 50 Cent, Jaguar Wright, and Gene Deal have been hinting at for years, the picture turns ugly fast. Not confirmed, not clear, but ugly. The logic behind all this is simple. If talking too directly, swearing under oath, or even taking a strong public stance could bring serious blowback, then silence starts looking like the smartest move. That's why when people study who's staying silent, truly silent, that quiet starts making sense in its own way. And the first name that keeps circling this storm? Stevie J. He's not just some old associate. He's woven deep into the bad boy legacy, straight into its DNA. Stevie was there when key moves were made, when the inner circle wasn't just about friendship, it was about power, money, and access. So when things started heating up around Diddy, Stevie didn't back off. He stood up for him. He went public, called him family, and doubled down hard. That kind of loyalty had people raising their eyebrows fast, because usually when pressure builds, most folks step back to protect their image. But not Stevie. He leaned in. Then came Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit, and that's when things really started spiraling online. Suddenly, Stevie's name was popping up in the convo even more. With claims floating around that he wasn't just nearby, he allegedly played a behind-the-scenes role, coordinating certain late-night setups and handling logistics while Diddy stayed shielded. And then came the whispers. Talk of leaked clips, wild scenes, and explicit moments supposedly connected to those same gatherings. That part still lives in rumor territory, nothing proven, but the reason it sticks is because it fits the leverage theory everyone keeps talking about. People are already tuned to believe something deeper is going on, and that's exactly why the question keeps circling Stevie J. Why does he keep defending so hard when everyone else has gone quiet? So here's the question everyone's asking. Is that real confidence or fear wearing the mask of loyalty? Another name that keeps surfacing in this wild conversation is Cuba Gooding Jr. He and Diddy have been spotted together for years. Events, trips, luxury getaways, the usual celebrity scene. But everything shifted once Lil Rod's lawsuit dropped, because Cuba's name wasn't just whispered anymore. It showed up in the paperwork.
When you have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if it's just peanut butter, it's just peanut butter. If it's just jelly, it's jelly. When you put it together, it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the taste is undeniable.
Mm-hmm. You saying Diddy and Jay-Z is peanut butter jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly.
According to the complaint, Diddy allegedly introduced Lil Rod to Cuba during a yacht trip in the Virgin Islands. And what Rod claims happened next crossed serious lines. Unwanted contact, repeated advances, ignored boundaries. Cuba has denied all wrongdoing and said he was completely blindsided by the accusations, but the public didn't exactly rush to defend him. The reaction wasn't sympathy, it was suspicion. Not because anyone has solid proof, but because the whole atmosphere around this story has everyone looking sideways at anyone still standing close to Diddy.
Bieber unfollowed his former manager, Scooter Braun, on Instagram, which sounds really minor.
It sounds sort of very high school.
But it is a big deal, especially for celebrities. And then the really surprising thing is after Justin did that, Scooter deactivated his entire...
And in the court of public opinion, timing is everything. When most people were pulling back, anyone who seemed to lean in looked like they were doing it on purpose, even if they weren't. Every move gets analyzed. Every silence gets read like a statement. Then there's Usher. His part in this story is one of the toughest to re-examine.
Yeah, y'all already know how we playing out this real life. Real life. Yeah, nigga, Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you heard? Talk that shit, Meek. Yeah, Meek.
It's long been known that Usher spent time around Diddy early in his career, and when he's spoken about that time, he's done it carefully, choosing his words like every sentence could open a door he's not ready to walk through. For years, those comments felt vague, almost harmless. But now, with all the new heat around Diddy, people are replaying every old clip, every interview, trying to catch what he didn't say out loud. Now, to a lot of people, Usher's old comments don't sound cautious anymore. They sound like regret. Because once you stack them next to the growing list of allegations and then bring Justin Bieber into the mix, the internet starts connecting dots fast. Justin's name got pulled into that same orbit early in his rise, and old clips keep resurfacing. Especially that one where Diddy jokes about having 48 hours with him and says what happened can't be discussed. For years, everyone brushed it off as weird, uncomfortable industry humor, just awkward banter from another era. But now, people are replaying that footage with fresh eyes. Not because one clip proves anything on its own, but because the climate has completely shifted.
To New York City and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
I was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was.
What once seemed like random entertainment moments now feels heavier, layered with new meaning, and people can't help but wonder what was really going on behind the scenes. When the overall story turns darker, viewers start combing through old videos, seeing hints and hidden signs that maybe weren't there, or maybe were. Even Justin's later struggles, his isolation, breaking away from certain circles, those emotional interviews about betrayal, they've all started looking different to the public. People online are convinced there's a story under the surface, even if the truth might be way more complicated than the internet wants to admit. And those moments where Justin shows empathy for younger artists or speaks protectively about people like Billie Eilish, fans are now saying he knows what pressure does, or he's seen how the industry can chew you up. Then you've got voices like Candace Owens stepping in, openly questioning what really went down behind closed doors, hinting that the squeaky clean image might have been just that, an image.
At Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape.
And Jaguar Wright takes it even further, claiming some folks knew exactly what was happening and stayed silent anyway. The whispers aren't quiet anymore. They're starting to sound like echoes from rooms people once thought were off limits. So when the legal heat rises and major names keep it hush-hush, the public doesn't see that as staying neutral anymore. They see it as fear. And one name that keeps getting pulled into the chatter is Bryshire Gray, the actor who blew up from Empire. Fans remember him as a rising star with serious potential, but his fall came fast. Arrests, public breakdowns, career fallout, it all got messy real quick. Online, people now use his story like a warning label. In these circles, names like Terrence Howard and Jaguar Wright get brought up too, hinting that certain young stars get pulled into worlds they're not ready for. Exclusive circles that promise opportunity but end up controlling you, then tossing you aside the second you stop being profitable. That's the kind of talk that makes people uneasy, because it paints the industry like a machine that eats its own.
Right here and told y'all there was activity on the dark net. Videos were being distributed and were going to be sold for profit because the diddler needs the money. Did I not say that?
Said that.
Right here.
Bryshire has spoken like someone who feels betrayed and targeted, like forces behind the scenes were trying to break him down. Whether every detail is true or not, the way his story keeps getting folded into this Diddy-centered narrative says a lot about public belief. People genuinely think the entertainment world can quietly destroy someone from the inside out, and the damage doesn't always show up until years later. Now let's talk about Naomi Campbell, because her name always comes up when people start mapping those elite networks. Private events, invitation-only lists, luxury circles, the same few faces keep showing up over and over again. And online, that kind of overlap doesn't go unnoticed. People treat it like a breadcrumb trail, connecting dots that may or may not belong together, building theories out of proximity alone. That's why Naomi's name sometimes gets pulled into bigger debates about power, privilege, and access, especially when folks bring up older scandals, like the Epstein circles.
Questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register.
It's not that there's new proof. It's that her consistent presence in those rarefied rooms keeps the public wondering what really goes on behind those velvet ropes. When people start breaking down the layers of influence, secret introductions, and the silence inside protected circles, Naomi Campbell's name keeps landing in the mix. She's pushed back hard on how those stories get framed, calling out the wild narratives. But the talk never really dies down.
Hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on me.
The optics are what keep it alive, especially when folks bring up long-running rumors that she and Diddy were close back in the day. Add in those public moments that still show their worlds crossing, and it's easy to see why the internet won't let that go. Then there's Jay-Z. For years, he and Diddy moved like mirror images. Two moguls running in the same luxury lanes, showing up at the same high-power parties, always surrounded by influence.
Saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but the shopping thing is
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood.
Jaguar Wright claimed the two were practically inseparable until Diddy's legal storm hit full force. That's when Jay allegedly went quiet, real quiet, and stepped back fast. Whether that move was strategy or fear, people noticed immediately. Because if Diddy ever decides to start talking, fans are convinced Jay's name won't stay out of that story for long. That thought alone keeps people glued to the conversation, waiting for the next connection to drop. And then you've got the chaos around Meek Mill. Those rumors have been relentless, claims saying he was one of Diddy's favorites. Meek has shut that down loudly, over and over. But the internet doesn't let go easy. When Lil Rod mentioned a Philly rapper who once dated Nicki Minaj, it didn't take long for people online to start pointing fingers. Meek's reactions only made the fire spread faster. Heated posts, emotional rants, declaring himself a real king from the trenches, blasting bots and fake accounts for trying to drag his name, even threatening to clap back at anyone still spreading lies. Then DJ Academics jumped in, one of the loudest voices pushing the talk, and that took it from gossip to headline territory.
Escape it though, like your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the
right?
most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity. Welcome to...
Suddenly the drama wasn't just rumor, it was trending, loud, and impossible to scroll past. Then came the clips, Meek and Diddy, chilling, laughing, looking way too relaxed for two people claiming there was nothing going on. And of course, the internet went wild. Every clip got treated like evidence, every side glance like proof, whether it really was or not. Then came talk of alleged audio leaks that supposedly carried some intimate energy between the two. Totally unverified, but here's the thing. Damage doesn't always wait for confirmation. Sometimes just believing something is enough to shift the whole power dynamic. That's the part that keeps dragging this story back into focus. Because rumors don't need receipts when the fear of what might exist can already control behavior. So people are asking, what if the silence around Diddy isn't loyalty at all? What if it's survival? What if speaking up could wreck reputations, end deals, or expose things no one's ready to face? And what if the real leverage isn't public? It's private, sitting on a hard drive somewhere, waiting for the right moment to be used. If recordings truly exist...
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
He signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Or even if people just think they do, then the silence stops feeling strange. It starts feeling strategic. That's where it gets sharp. Who's quiet because they're protecting Diddy, and who's quiet because they're protecting themselves? Who's a victim, who's an accomplice, and who's caught in between? Because if Diddy ever flips the script and goes from defense to offense, if he ever starts talking, whose legacy falls first? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep your eyes on the next video. Because if this story keeps unfolding like it has been, the next name to blow up online might be the one nobody saw coming.
Hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on me.
unfollowed his former manager, Scooter Braun, on Instagram, which sounds really minor.
It sounds sort of very high school.
But it is a big deal, especially for celebrities. And then the really surprising thing is after Justin did that, Scooter deactivated his entire...
Bieber must speak about this, you guys. He's apparently unfollowed all of his closest Hollywood managers, even the bodyguard, in a sign that some people are saying is more evidence of the Diddy fall.